You may be seated. Make sure your cell phones are turned off and not be on them.
Do you think you want to address the board? No. I'll ask Ricky and
Calling case number 22003318001 Malcolm Hardy, sentencing. Appearances for the record.
Good morning, Your Honor. Mike Glenn for the people. My P number is 77516.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Evan Callahan, P30564 on behalf of Mr. Hardy.
Good morning. State your name for the record, sir.
Good morning, Malcolm Hardy.
Today is the day set for sentencing. Has everyone seen the pre-sentencing investigation report?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor, I've had the opportunity of reviewing it with the defendant as well.
Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections?
None from the people, Your Honor.
None from the defendant, Your Honor.
All right. Are the guidelines correct?
They are, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there a victim or victim impact statement?
Your Honor, there are a few members of, there are 3 victims in this case. There are a few members of at least 2 of the victims' families that are present in court that would like to address the court.
All right. They can come to the jury box, first row.
Thank you,
may
Judge.
them.
Yeah, of course.
With the court's permission, may Mr. Hardy sit?
He may be seated.
Thank you, Judge.
That's right there. All right, whomever's going to speak first, please stand and state your name for the record, ma'am.
Chanel Marshall's doing.
Only the one that's going to speak first.
She's supposed to speak. I'm just here for her.
All right, you may be seated. What would you like to say, ma'am?
I wrote something.
Let me read it.
Being here seems so unreal, knowing someone could take precious lives. My sister decided to give you a chance at life because she could relate to the lifestyle you were living in herself. LaShon, as I knew her heart was so pure when it came to helping others, and to know you took advantage of her life. LaShon was paving the way for youth like yourself, fighting for equal rights, fair housing, and ending homelessness for youth, for young adults like herself, building a better future for herself and her children. Many times as I sat on the phone, I would hear LaShon ask why you weren't in school or if y'all had ate anything, and if not, y'all could come get some food. My sister cared for you. LaShon, known as Piglet, was my little sister, the one who I grew up with, the one that was my shadow as a child. Her and her son and my son, twins, look alike. LaShon had so much to life to give the world, and you stopped it because of your own selfish reasons. Her son, Caleb, the name you should never forget, didn't get a chance to see life beyond the age of 5. You stopped Caleb's life before he had a chance to start one. You cut his childhood short. You took life from a precious baby who was innocent, who had so much life to explore in this world. You're the one who took him to the store, played with him. My nephew would never be able to graduate from school, have a family, spend time with his family. My nephew's life did not deserve to be taken by your hands. You had no rights to take his life. Caleb did not make it to see his graduation, or his kindergarten graduation, or to see his 6th birthday. The smirk on your face as I have been coming to court says a lot to me, which is all I ask, how could you be so evil and heartless? I pray for you often that God restores your heart and you learn to build a relationship with God. I pray you learn to forgive yourself. I pray for you because I know your life stopped before you had a chance to live it. I pray you develop a relationship with God. Allow him to work miracles in your life. Most importantly, I pray for you to come terms with this situation one day of being honest as to what happened and why. I pray you never get a chance to do this to someone else's family. Most of all, I pray for my strength and my healing because you took a lot from me. Learning how to live a normal life and how to move on with my life, knowing I will never see or hear my nephew or sister's voice. Knowing that your family gets to hear your voice, visit you in person, and talk to you. And I have to talk to mine at their gravesite. You get to celebrate your birthday and holidays. They no longer get to have birthdays or holidays. I pray you build a strong relationship with God. To your mother, being a parent never came with guidance, but it came with common sense, responsibilities, nurturing your son, saving him from these streets, preventing him from being a victim of society, raising him up to be a young man and not a killer, teaching him lessons about life, being his support, being available for his needs. I wish you could have been the parent he needed before he took my loved ones. To the court, I ask that the system not fail LaShon and Caleb again. Give him the sentence of never being able to see the light of day, to never give him a chance to hurt another family the way he did mine. No one should endure this kind of pain. No child's life should be taken behind another child.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there someone else that wants to say something?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
My
Say
name
your-
is Dolores Lyons, and I'm a friend of the family. And I'm coming as someone who knew LaShon very well. I'm speaking from the heart.
Address it to me.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm speaking from the heart. Okay, I'm a member of an organization called Results. And Results is a grassroots citizens lobbying organization, and we lobby for issues that end poverty in the world. And we're in all 50 states and 36 countries. We're based in Washington, D.C. And what we do, we're just grassroots everyday people, and we lobby members of Congress. LaShon came to us about 7 years ago now. And we were meeting with Haley Stevens. And we all have our agenda. We talk to the Congress people about what we do or whatever our issues are. And when LaShon spoke, Haley Stevens stopped. She didn't want to hear anything else from us. She wanted to hear LaShon. LaShon talked about the need for safe housing, fair housing, education, just all the things that a normal person would have. And she wanted this for not only herself and Caleb, but for other people. LaShon was perhaps the most giving person in the world, you know. So, so much, I'm emotional, forgive me. When we heard of her murder, it shook Capitol Hill, literally, because LaShon had made a lot of friends on Capitol Hill. She became very close to Congressman Andy Levin, Rashida Tlaib. Haley Stevens called me personally and was screaming, like, what happened? The Secretary of the Interior, everybody, and to the point that Rashida Tlaib gave tribute to LaShon on the Capitol floor, and she talked about LaShon.
Can you hand her a tissue?
She talked about LaShon and her work and how passionate she was and how she connected to everybody. When LaShon spoke, they listened. and we could get the most ardent, hardcore conservative to change their vote on food stamps, Medicaid, Medicare, whatever the issue was, because LaShon spoke to them. So I just want, there are no winners here, and my heart is broken for our young people not being able to resolve conflict. LaShon was a diamond in the rough. She had been through a lot. She spoke it from her heart, and they listened. And I have to say too that on the day that Rashida spoke of LaShon on the Capitol floor, she raised the flag over the Capitol in LaShon's honor, and they gave the flag to the family, and her name and Caleb's name will go into the archives, congressional archives, as to the work that she's done. Caleb, I'd say real quickly, one day LaShon called me and she said, Mama D, she said, Caleb has something to tell you, or to read to you. And I said, it's kindergarten, okay. So he's reading, saying all these elaborate words, and I said, and I hear LaShon in the background laughing. She said, boy, you're so silly, boy. And he's just reading. And I said, Caleb, I said, those are awfully big words. I said, did you learn those words in kindergarten? He said, uh-huh. And then LaShon's dad said, he was making that story up. And I said, well, making up the story. I said, well, it made sense, and the words were in context, So here's a little boy that, like his aunt said, didn't get a chance to see life. And LaShon, I always compared her to Mary Lou Hamer, Fannie Lou Hamer. And she was that raw speaking, spoke truth to power, and people listened. So I just hope in the end, in all of this, we've all learned lessons, that we deal with our young people and teach our young people conflict resolution. That's what we need as a community.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who would like to say something? State your name for the record, ma'am.
My name is Shalisa Floyd.
Say it again.
Shalisa Floyd.
Thank you. You may proceed.
I just come to you today to ask that justice totally be done. Caleb was my grandson. My son has 9 children, and I still say that my son has 9 children. Caleb was, I want to say, his 4th child, his 2nd son. When this happened, my son was totally devastated. I have 32 grandchildren, and Caleb, I'm not sure.
Just a moment. Quiet in the courtroom. You may continue, ma'am.
I have 32 grandchildren, and I can't tell you where Caleb fits within the 32 grandkids, but it has devastated our entire family, especially his brothers and sisters. I recently had my grandchildren over at my house because some of them have graduated from kindergarten, from preschool, and from middle school going on to high school. So I have a picture of Caleb in my home. One of my son's son was there. His oldest brother was there. And he saw a picture of my grandson, Caleb. And so he says to me, Grandma, when did you get this picture of me? And so I said, well, what picture are you talking about? And he stated to me, the one up there in my office, because I have a large office. And so he pulled it down and he showed the picture to me. And the picture was not of him. It was a picture of Caleb. And I said, that's not you. And so he said to me, he said, Grandma, but it is. He said, it looks just like me. And I said, remember your brother? And so then he said, oh. And so then I said, that's Caleb. And so then he said, put it back, Grandma, I don't want to talk about that. And so he ran out of my office. And so my granddaughter, my other granddaughter, she went to chase after him. I said, no. I said, I don't have his time. I understand. And so I wanted to bring him with me, however, my daughter told, my grandson's mom told me, no. But this has devastated our family now here. I did not get a chance to meet Caleb. I never met him, never laid eyes on him, other than a FaceTime. So this young man has stole something from me. Totally. I congregate with my grandchildren often, but Caleb I did not. And today he will be 8. Because the next week after, when he was murdered, the next week would have been his 6th birthday. And Judge, I am asking, I am begging and pleading. Let this be an example of what not to do, because you could have taken a second thought before you pulled the trigger and shot my grandson 9 times. You could have thought. He was so little and so innocent. Why would you do that? And today I am asking, if I may, because this is something I never imagined would come across my table. Never. God never prepared me for something to this magnitude. And I'm praying, God asks us to forgive. But this is something I have not forgiven this young man for. Not only for me, but for my dear son. My dear son, who hurts. And I'm standing here in the gap for him because my son loved my grandson so. And I want to say, and I don't want to be mean or nothing, but my grandson loved him the most. And it about took my son out. I don't want him to see the light of day. I really don't. In regards to LaShon also, because my son loved her. He loved her so too. So I'm just asking that you please look at the tears of a mother, a grandmother. I didn't get a chance to smell the sweet smell of this grandbaby. I didn't. And I'm really disgusted with an African American young man who could have grew up to be something yourself, young man. You're a handsome young man. You could have thought differently that day. I wish you would. Because you could be, listen, I don't like McDonald's, but let me tell you, I like the smell of French fries. I would never change it for nothing else. I don't eat them. The love of the trees, the smell of outside, and that's the honest to God truth. You're not gonna be able to see that, honey. You should have thought differently that day. I swear you should have. 3 people, honey, no. It's not worth it. It was not worth it at all. Whatever somebody was doing to you, you could have walked away and you could be outside now. You could be free. But Judge, I can't say that I want him to have some kind of lesser charge. I can't. My grandbaby is gone forever. And I don't see him in my dreams. I don't hear his voice. None of that. And my mother is gone to glory, so I'm hoping that he's linking up with her. My daddy is gone to glory. I'm hoping all my aunts and uncles are all gone. So I'm hoping that he's linking up with them. That's all I have for this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else that wants to say something? anyone else that wants to say something?
I don't believe so, Judge.
All right.
If I may, just very briefly.
Yes.
Your Honor, in regards to this particular case, I was assigned this right after they found the bodies of the 3 victims. So I've been with this family and these great family members that you just heard from, as well as 2 other additional family members that wrote victims' impact statements to the court that we made a part of your file that I provided to defense counsel. And along with the Detroit Police Department, specifically Sergeant McIntyre and his team, they did a very extensive investigation to get to the bottom of what happened to the 3 victims in this case. And I've been in the homicide unit for the better part of 7 years. I've now handled hundreds of homicide cases, and whether it's at trial or various different stages of investigations. And quite frankly, this is one that sticks with me because I had a very unique perspective of the evidence that we would have presented at trial. And with that being said, the defendant did plead guilty and took responsibility for what he did. And for whatever solace this can provide to the family, whatever closure this can provide to the family, whatever tranquility it can provide to the family, Mr. Hardy did spare the family the horror that I got to see through video, through pictures, through a post-mortem examination of not just 2 adults, which is the typical cases that I handle, but that of a young 5-year-old innocent boy. So with that, Your Honor, I certainly hope that the family can find some way to take that and turn it into a positive so that they don't have to relive this day after day after day. Because the trial, as the court is well aware, Mr. Callan is well aware, and the defendant would be well aware, it would be a horrible 2 weeks of pain, opening up those wounds that began in February of 2022. With that, Judge, we did reach a sentence agreement in this case. I'm gonna ask the court to adopt the sentence agreement. Part of that agreement calls for the dismissal of counts 4 through 8 and 10 through 16.
I'm not there yet.
Oh, okay, but I'll hold off then at that particular point then.
Okay.
And then I'd ask the restitution be set in an amount to be determined.
Is there anything that you would like to say on behalf of your client, and then is there anything that your client would like to say before I
Very briefly,
sentence?
Judge, I think that the defendant has displayed a tremendous amount of remorse over this. He's got what I would call a proper attitude.
Keep your voice up, we're on
He's
jazz.
got what I would call a proper attitude. And the sentence agreement calls for him to do a minimum of 28 years plus 2 for the gun. And in that period of time, Judge, he's going to have to live day by day with his memories of this, and hopefully he can achieve forgiveness of himself and at one point in time in his life have some useful life out in society again. So we're asking the court to adopt the sentencing agreement of 28-60 plus 2 for the gun. And Mr. Hardy does have something he wants to say.
You may stand, sir. What would you like to say? No, look to me.
I want to say I apologize to the court and the family and everybody else out there in the world. I didn't mean for this to happen, and I pray for their families and my family that they'll forgive me, and I pray for their lives, and I hope they enjoy the rest of their lives.
All right,
That's it.
anything else? All right.